Confucianism on the issue of Madani. If you understand by Madani, of course, essentially civilization. Yes, it is true, it is universal, all right? That is acceptable to all religions, but then it may be applied. But that idea of Madani may be applied to specific socio-cultural conditions as dictated by both time and space. Madani Malaysia is based on the concept and philosophy of Madinah as developed and articulated in Islamic thought and civilization. Sorry. Madani Malaysia is based on the concept and philosophy of Madinah as developed and articulated in Islamic thought and civilization. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is to be congratulated and to be praised for his initiative in turning the classical idea of Madani into a modern and contemporary political doctrine that is suited to the culturally pluralistic Malaysia. The initiative requires vision and moral courage on his part. But many of us know that writings on Madani are out there, stored on the pages of books, perhaps some old books, to text kept in the library but never studied. The point is, the idea of Madani was discussed, was articulated by a number of scholars, but it is left for academic discussion. Now, there's a big difference between that and the initiative to turn that political doctrine into a national policy, into a political vision for Malaysia, which is culturally pluralistic, many religions, many ethnic groups. That is something else. Yeah, that requires something. The initiative requires something from whoever introduced, and in this case, Datuk Seri Diraja Anwar Ibrahim. Now, Madani, what is Madani? Well, the essential meaning of Madani is enlightened civilization. That is how I see it. Yeah. Madani means enlightened civilization. This is a great idea. This idea is a great one. Madani may be understood as referring to the sum total of all the good and praiseworthy characteristics of a city, of a society, nation, or civilization. And I'm saying the first city, the first community, ummah, the first society, the first nation, and the first civilization to portray and exhibit the Madani values and characteristics in the most visible manner was Medina, the city of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's the first. It is true that in the case of some philosophers, Al-Farabi in 870, talking about here in the second half of the 9th century and the first half of the 10th century, because he was the first person to philosophize the doctrine of Madani. And when he, oh sorry, 5 minutes more, okay. And when he studied Greek philosophy, he encountered the concept of politikon. And when he translated into Arabic, he used the word Madani. He used the word Madani. But linguistically, the word Madani and Medina is derived from the same root word. So there was an etymological connection. But it is important for us to realize this, that the Prophet ﷺ, when he migrated, he and his followers, his companions, emigrated to Medina. The old name of that city was Yathrib. So upon arriving, he changed the name. I love to remind myself and others again and again the significance of the change of name from Yathrib to Medina. Surely the Prophet ﷺ did not change the name of the old city for the sake of change. Or he had changed it for a very trivial reason. As I see it, there must have been civilizational significance in the name change. The change was only a prelude to what was yet to come, something that was big and profound. In other words, the new name Medina that the Prophet ﷺ announced to the whole world was only the beginning of a profound transformation awaiting the Prophet ﷺ and his newly founded community. Now, looking back in history, we of course know very well how profound indeed was the social transformation that accompanied the Prophet's earthly career during the Medinan period. In a matter of just a decade, the social transformation was complete. God himself acknowledged in the Quran the completeness of the transformation just before the Prophet's death. It may easily be regarded as the greatest and the most impactful social transformation in human history. In intensity, the spiritual and intellectual depth of the transformation was unparalleled. Also unparalleled was its scope, encompassing spiritual, ethical, moral, political, common and economic, socio-cultural, scientific and technological, educational, and military dimension. The transformation could only be described as civilizational in nature and scope. Of course, perhaps the most impactful aspect of the transformation was in the field of education. Under the Prophet as the teacher, he produced the kind of individuals that the Prophet produced during his mission, the companions. In fact, I would say this: the history of Islam can be written in one sentence, essentially speaking. The history of Islam is essentially the history of the contributions and the achievements of those individuals who were educated by the Prophet. And we have historians to verify that claim. Thanks to the divinely guided social transformation under the Prophet's leadership, a new civilization order emerged in Medina. This is what I want to emphasize here. The new civilizational order. I would like every one of us to study once again that new civilization order that is. And this is because we have not paid attention to this. Many of us, when we talk about civilization, we follow the West, saying that the history of Islamic civilization began when the Muslims encountered the legacy of the Greeks, of the Persians, the Indians and the Chinese and so on. But never we talk about the actual, the core of Islamic civilization. That order, that civilization order was established by the Prophet in Medina. In Medina. So the new civilization order had to be what it was, because it was meant to be an example to all future civilizations. The city of the Prophet, Madinatun Nabi, was to be an example to all future cities. So this is for the attention of all the Maya, Datuk Bandar, and all the mayors of the cities. Yeah. This displaying, Madinatun Nabi was to be an example to all future cities, displaying its Madani qualities and characteristics. Thus, it is clear to us that the close connection between Madinah and Madani is not only etymological, but also conceptual and philosophical, and even at the practical social level. According to Professor Muhammad Said Naqib Al-Atas, there is connection between the word Madinah and Deen, because Madinah was the place where Deen that was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ were actualized, implemented. So the new civilization order in Medina, of course, has been studied by every generation of Muslim scholars. It was a laboratory for studies on the history, on the social aspects, on the family, or precisely of the Prophet, the Sunnah, the Sirah of the Prophet. Except one, we neglected the study of Medina of the Prophet from the perspective of civilization. So now, because we live in a world in which civilizations are interconnected, there's no way that we can separate at the level of ideas from other civilizations. We need to come up with a new approach to that, to our own civilization. In other words, for us today, civilization approach, pendekatan ketamadunan, must be made our new approach in studying the human problems. I have presented something like a theory of the theory of civilization building in one of my writing. I try to understand the meaning of that civilization order in Medina, how it was accomplished, So, because we need this theory. In that theory, I mentioned that the foundation of that civilization was laid down in Mecca, but the actual building was in Medina. In the old days of Abin, continued by Wada, yeah, very interesting, Dato' Azam, Wada, the members of Wada are older than members of Abim, but actually Abim is older than Wada. But I just want to say this, that we learn, in our usra and so on, in our study group, we study the Quran about the Meccan period and the Medinan period. We know that. But we did not approach that study of the two periods from the perspective of civilization. When I say perspective of civilization, the foundation, the spiritual foundation of Islamic civilization was laid down in Mecca. But the societal foundation was laid down in Medina. It was not the destiny of Medina to be, or it was not the destiny of Mecca, to be the intellectual and political capital of Islam. It was the destiny of Medina to be the intellectual and civilizational capital of Islam. So it is in the light of this idea of that new civilization order that we should study the present global order, which deserves really to be called global disorder, not global order. Because the world is becoming increasingly disorderly by the day. The 20th century was very, very disorderly already. We witnessed 2 world wars. We witnessed the colonial slavery of the various people in Africa and Asia. We have done, but the current century is even more disorderly. So, question, I want to conclude this. How should we study disorder? Because that is our problem now. How should we study disorder? We cannot study disorder with respect to disorder or in the light of disorder. Just as we cannot study change in the light of change. Instead, we study change in the light of permanence. We light disorderly in the light of order. And what is that exemplary model? What is that model which we use as our guide? It's no other than the civilizational order that was established by the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.